If you've ever had that one neighbor who made your blood boil, smash that like button. And if you believe in poetic justice, subscribe, because this is one of the most satisfying neighbor from hell takedowns you'll ever hear. I've lived in the same apartment for 10 years. It's a historic 1830s building, beautiful in a rustic, don't look too close at the peeling paint kind of way. Rent is basically half the neighborhood average, so I've put up with its quirks. When I first moved in, the upstairs neighbors made the kind of noises you expect in an old building. A few creaks here, a random thump there. But then came her. My new upstairs neighbor wasn't just loud. She was chaos in human form. The landlord told me, asterisk, she's had a rough life. Be patient. Asterisk, what he meant was, asterisk, she's deranged, addicted to stimulants, and incapable of making sound decisions. But I feel bad for her. Asterisk, instead of evicting her after multiple incidents, he put her on a month-to-month lease with the vague hope she'd find somewhere else to live. Spoiler alert, she didn't. The thing about a 200-year-old building? Floors don't just creak. They groan. They squeal. And after a decade of use, they were practically hollow. Every time she took a step, the floorboards screamed like rusty hinges. But my neighbor didn't just walk. She would run. Full sprints. Back and forth. For hours. Usually between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. Because that's when she'd be high out of her mind. You could hear the manic energy in her footsteps, the frantic pattern of someone whose thoughts were racing faster than her legs could carry her. It wasn't just noise, it was vibration. My walls shook, my bed shook, my teeth practically rattled in my skull. I'd wake up gasping, heart pounding, wondering if we just had an earthquake. Sleep became a distant memory. My work suffered, my moods got darker, and every night, lying there at 3 a.m., I'd think, is this how people lose their minds? One night, after a particularly hellish run session upstairs, I dragged myself into the kitchen at 4:30 a.m. for water. I caught my reflection in the microwave door. My face looked pale, sunken, my eyes bloodshot and wild. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just annoying anymore. This was warfare. Now, normally I'm the bigger person type, but there's something about months of sleep deprivation that rewires your brain. I knew I couldn't count on the landlord. He had compassion for her. I couldn't move. Rent was too good, and frankly, why should I have to leave? So I decided if she could make my nights unbearable, I could make her days just as bad. Here's the thing about stimulant addicts. They need that crash. After running on adrenaline all night, they collapse in the late morning and sleep like the dead until evening. That's their one stretch of peace. I was going to take it from her. Step 1. I invested in a subwoofer. Not to watch movies a little louder subwoofer. I'm talking a bass cannon that could make your sternum buzz. Step 2. I rearranged my furniture, specifically my speakers, so they were directly under her bedroom floor. Step 3. I made a playlist. Heavy bass tracks, construction site sound effects, and, for maximum irritation, looped recordings of squeaky floorboards. Yes, I recorded her own floors and turned them into a weapon. Step 4. I waited. The first night, she had her usual rave upstairs until sunrise. At 10 a.m. sharp, I cranked the volume till you can feel this in your fillings and press play. The effect was instant. I heard her stumble out of bed. A door slammed. Then came the frantic pacing. The exact same pacing she subjected me to, only now it was frantic in desperation. It became a daily ritual. She'd keep me up all night. I'd keep her up all day. She started yelling through the floor, screaming obscenities. I just smiled and turned the volume up another notch. After a week, I noticed her nights got quieter. Not silent, but the manic running turned into half-hearted shuffling. She was tired. By week 3, she'd stopped entirely. I'd won the war of attrition. One glorious morning, I woke up, not to the sound of stomping, but to the sound of nothing. Absolute silence. I went outside later that day and saw it. Her car was loaded with boxes. She was leaving. I watched from my window as she slammed the door one last time, muttering under her breath. For the first time in months, I laughed. Not a tired, bitter laugh, a real one. You have to understand, this wasn't just about noise. It was about taking back control. For months, I've been at the mercy of someone who didn't care if I could function, sleep, or even stay sane. And in the end, she couldn't handle a taste of her own medicine. Some people will tell you revenge doesn't solve anything. But here's the truth. Sometimes it restores balance. Sometimes it's the only language bullies understand. If this story made you grin even half as much as I did when I saw that moving truck, smash that like button. And tell me in the comments, what's your neighbor from hell story? And of course, subscribe for more tales of sweet, sweet payback.